Yo, what's up? It's your boy Currency 365. Hope you guys are doing well. Legends never die, they stay in our hearts. If you want to support us, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can come down here and hit the join button under the video or in our channel section. And you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/currency365. And we also have Cash App and also PayPal for support if you want to sow some seeds. Peace out. God bless. Enjoy the video and keep the movement going. Legends. Bye.
I get some people who are concerned sometimes about my videos because they see my eyes are red and they wonder, like, hey, dude, are you on drugs? No. I weep when the presence of God is near. And I also weep when I go to do these videos because I'm thankful that I get to do them. But I'm also just, I'm so aware of how much this all matters, right? I kind of get a chuckle out of, like, people are like, which videos of yours pertain to the wealth transfer? They all do. It's all one big giant puzzle. But, you know, people just typically want to get their high of, hey, it's the wealth transfer going to happen. So, this video was inspired by a conversation that I was sent where somebody was saying they were under the impression that I believe that God has delayed the wealth transfer. And I kind of want to clear that up because I think it's important. For the short answer is no. I don't believe that God has delayed this, but I'm thankful that it hasn't happened yet, and I'd like to explain why. Of the wealth transfer in 2011, some as far back as 2003, when particular currencies started to do stuff and whatever. And I look and I see, when was a good time for this to happen? Well, 2008, 2009 probably would have been a good window. But there was a lack of awareness. For those of you who are newer to this wealth transfer concept, a lot of us used to sit around in chat rooms and we would talk about, we need to get ready for the wealth transfer. Except that nobody had any idea, myself included, had no idea what that actually meant. We would say it sounded good, and yet there was nothing that changed in our day-to-day lives in order to prepare for the wealth transfer. Then 6 months ago, my previous YouTube channel is getting shadow banned. And I'm like super frustrated. And I'm like asking God, like, what do I do? Right? And as a random side note, people are asking like, okay, well, you cry in your videos and you weep a lot. I've explained the weeping part, but I need to also get people to understand this. Jeremiah was a weeping prophet. Okay? Jeremiah wept because he was aware of the coming destruction. I am the second half fulfillment of that. I am the weeping prophet who weeps because I'm aware of the restoration that God is wanting to pour out. Okay? There's balance in everything, right? There's times for everything. I am the second part of the weeping prophet. That's why when the Spirit comes, I weep. And people are like, well, you know, you need to make a niche type YouTube. Can I tell you something? 5 years ago, God had shown me that the trends in social media were going to change so that you would have people who showed their face and were original would thrive and succeed in social media. Okay? The next shift that's coming is going to be where people are just authentic to be themselves in their full measure. You're not going to see niche channels succeeding. It's going to be, here's the fullness of who I am and here's all the interests that I have. Like Gary Vaynerchuk is very much a forerunner in this and has been for some time. So my channel is not going to be a niche channel either. It's going to be the things that I believe I need to talk about. Because as well as preparing people for the wealth transfer, I also need to make it very aware that in 2 years, when companies like Disney are screaming for help, that I've been the guy on the internet sitting there for 2 years being like, hey, I know how to fix Disney. I know how to fix ESPN. I know how to fix CNN. I know how to fix these companies. Why? Because God's given me that measure. I understand who I am, what I'm called to. I don't give a flying crap what anybody else says or thinks about it because I aim to please my God, who I serve wholeheartedly. I don't care what anybody else's opinion is about it. So I prepare myself so that when those calls and emails come, I'm ready, and I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to go be effective. That's a whole other thing. There's way too many people who are sitting there being like, yeah, Oh, God gave me gifts, but I need a wealth transfer first. No, you don't. God has given you power to create wealth. And if you're sitting there not using your gifts and your talents now, you're not going to use them once the wealth transfer comes. Why? Because people are going to be so tempted to sit there in this state of comfort. Oh, I'm rich and I'm comfortable. I don't want to do anything. And then God's going to take your wealth away and you're going to weep. Why? Because you're the guy that went and buried it under a tree, except you didn't even bury it under the tree. You just spent it. And God's going to take the money and give it to people like me who are actually doing something with their talents, their gifts, and their money. 6 months ago, I'm hit with this awareness of just how unprepared people are. So my YouTube channel, my old one, it's shadow banned. I can't get views on the videos no matter what I do. They won't show up. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And so God says, start a new channel and talk about the wealth transfer and fixing companies and businesses and the revelation that I give to you. It's like, okay. So I'm doing that. And God starts to unravel this roadmap where it's like mentally, most people mentally are in a state where I can't do anything and I can't be effective until I have a wealth transfer. And they've declared that over and over for a decade or two. And then they sit there and they wonder why they're currently broke, because your declarations have put you in a place where God can't do anything because life and death is in the power of the tongue. And when you're sitting there cursing and cursing and cursing and bringing death over your life, you wonder why. Give God something to work with. My wife and I were discussing this. She's like, why am I so tired all the time? And I just flatly said, well, because you talk all the time about how tired you are. Right? It's like, what are the words that are coming out of your mouth? And are they self-fulfilling prophecies? Because if you look at where you're at, you've probably talked yourself there. The good news is there's a shift that can happen. And you need to start writing what you actually want and declaring what you actually want. The words out of our mouth matters. As a man thinketh, so is he. You have to change in here from being that broke, frail, ineffective person to who are you going to be? So in my head, I am a billionaire. Okay? I am a multi-billionaire. I have significant influence in government and business. I am the most sought after business consultant in the world because I understand things that people just don't understand. I am sought after as a teacher. Churches call me because God works healing ministries through me, and I have my group of 300 that come with me and they go and do these healing ministries with me, and it's amazing. And God just shows up and it's incredible. And I'm a very successful investor, and I'm a well sought out coach that people pay me lots of money to coach them. Okay, that's what's in me. That's who I am inside. So whether that matches my current reality, that's not the point. As a man thinketh. So I think on these things of who I'm in the process of becoming, because that's the goal. That's where I'm moving to. So people have to change how they think. So the mentality part, emotionally, you have to get past the emotions tied to being broke. Okay, most people they're actually addicted to being broke and feeling like a victim. So once you get used to something, your body tries to keep you in that place and in your state. Your subconscious mind thinks that it's safe for you to be there because it's familiar. Okay, so you need to start making these shifts. And I've suggested, I really thought The Richest Man in Babylon was a really good book to read and actually apply concepts from the book. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And there's lots of other books that I'm going through that are tied to my calling where it's like, yeah, no, this would be a good book to read. This is not financial investment advice. I'm not suggesting anyone buy or sell anything or anything like that. And that's like my group. I've created my group partly for this reason, is like people actually need to process this stuff. Right? It's like the wealth transfer happens and it's like somebody suddenly trying to go eat an elephant. And they're trying to eat it all in one shot. And then they're overwhelmed trying to eat the elephant. And it's like, well, you probably could have prepared a little bit better for that. So, like, I don't think people are really aware that there's not much difference between most people in the wealth transfer and people that won the lottery. It's like the people that win the lottery, They're not faithful with little, so they're not faithful with much. So they're broke going into winning the lottery, and they're broke coming out of it. Because nothing changes. Their thoughts haven't changed. Their emotions haven't changed. Their perception of who they are hasn't changed. Most people have no idea how to make money. But what you need to understand is that your soul needs to prosper in order for you to make money. Right? You have to become that person that's a successful investor. Somebody that is prosperous and makes good decisions. And be able to get out of survival mode. When you're in survival mode, your brain is in a state called high beta. Okay? High beta is bad. That's a stress response. Okay? So when you're stressing about money and you're in high beta, you can't see any solutions. This is why God has told us not to be anxious and not to be stressed. Instead, with prayer and petition, to make our concerns known to God. Right? But not only are people like worrying about today and tomorrow and the next 6 years, people are anxious and worried. So like when I myself and like Crypto Night talk about getting out of survival mode, that's what we mean. You have to get out of survival mode. You absolutely have to. That it's not an option. In order to thrive, you have to leave. What does that mean? You have to stop stressing about money. You have to stop being anxious. You have to stop declaring that you have mental illness, because the Bible says that we have a sound mind. We have not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love and a sound mind. And so many people are not acting that way. So there actually has to be an internal change in how you do everything. That is going to be a process. Okay, dealing with past traumas and making sure that you're not triggered by money and you're not triggered by being rich. So many people have so much bitterness towards people that actually have money. And it's like, okay, so you want to be in that position, but you're bitter about it, other people that are there. You don't think that might need to be dealt with. So there's the mental part, there's the emotional part, and then there's actually learning skills in order to generate cash flow. Because one of the biggest problems is that a lot of people that win the lottery have no clue how to run a business, how to generate income from anything. They don't understand the idea about compounding money. Like, they don't get any of this stuff. So because they have no income generation, and their expenditures have just significantly increased, they go broke because of that, right? The guys, they got the talents, right? One increased it. Two of them doubled what they got. The third guy didn't, and he had it taken away. For people that are thinking like, oh yeah, I can just get the wealth transfer and I can just go retire. No, you can't. Not in the sense that you're not doing anything. There at least has to be a mission that God has given you, because to whom much is given, much is required. So what is God requiring of you? I'm not saying you can't retire and go sit on a beach, but don't tell me that you spend your money on yourself and you don't do anything and you're not pouring into somebody or funding a ministry or like do something. Because it's going to be really embarrassing to get in front of God one day and be like, yeah, so I gave you like $40 million. What did you do with it? And yeah, I bought a yacht and I chilled on a beach for 12 years and then I died. Does anyone else like not see something wrong with that? Do I think that God has delayed the wealth transfer? No, that wouldn't be accurate to say, but I can't sit here with a straight face and say that we're inspiring a lot of confidence in God based on where the majority of wealth transfer people are sitting currently. Because it's like, if I was God, I wouldn't pour out the money. Why? Because it's going to be a waste unless we're prepared to steward it well. So changing how we think, changing our emotional state around money, and getting out of survival mode in general, and then actually building and developing skills. Like, people are like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to like Abbott Downing, which no longer exists, but hey, I'm going to go to like some financial advisor and he's just going to make me rich. The hand of the diligent will be made rich. Like, this doesn't all happen on autopilot. God needs our participation. Again, this is not financial or investment advice, but for me, I'm going through books on how to utilize tax loopholes in order to lessen the amount of tax that I'm paying through using real estate. It's like, well, I think that might be a useful skill. I'm reading books about different businesses and just different things tied to my calling so that I can be highly effective in the field when God opens doors for me to go out and do these things. So, like, to whom much is given, much is required. How much are you asking for, and what are you planning to do for God with that? Like, I want people to think about this stuff. So, for people that this really resonates with, and if you've watched this whole video, obviously it resonates, there's a couple of options. I have a group that I've put together, and we have calls on Thursday nights on Zoom. Most Thursdays. Not every, but most. And we talk about this stuff in greater length, right? So all the stuff I'm talking about in these videos, we're discussing at greater length and having a group call and discussions, and people participate and give their insight and revelation. And like, these are awesome calls. And the feedback I get from people that join, it's awesome. And actually in the group in December, my group is basically doubled in the month of December. Like, it's crazy to see. So that is an important outlet. It's not that we talk about different things than the videos here. It's just there's more. There's a purpose behind that. People that get it. Also, I do one-on-one coaching. You can email me at an email address down below if you're interested in coaching. Or if you're interested in my group, there's a link for my Patreon. You can join my group through there. We have to make changes. We need to be prepared to actually be effective and increase our skill levels. And I think the skill levels in general of most of the people in the wealth transfer are they're not adequate. So has God delayed the wealth transfer? I don't think so. But if we're not prepared and ready, why is God going to pour it out?